Okay, so when you hear the word hero, what's the first thing that, like, jumps into your head?
Hmm. Usually it's the big stuff, right?
Hmm.
Capes, superpowers.
Exactly, flying through the sky, that kind of image. But what if it's something, well, something much closer to home? Something kind of woven into our daily lives.
Ah, I see where you're going.
Yeah, today we're doing a deep dive into the extraordinary path to heroic character.
Mm-hmm.
We're exploring how ordinary people, tap into something truly extraordinary.
Especially in tough relationships, I bet.
Precisely. Especially when they're navigating the most challenging relationships they have.
Okay.
So, our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack some key insights. We've got sources like The Extraordinary Path to Heroic Character, Robert Greene's Daily Laws,
Good stuff there.
yeah, and wisdom from people like Tony Dungy, the former NFL coach.
Oh, interesting mix.
Right. We want to give you a kind of shortcut,
Uh,
maybe, a clear path to understanding how to cultivate this heroic character.
Practical steps, hopefully.
Totally. Filled with some surprising facts and, yes, really practical steps. Think of it like a guide.
A guide to making good choices.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when things feel difficult, when you're really being tested. So where do these sources say this whole journey starts?
Well, that's the fascinating part. It's not the big public stuff.
Right, not the grand gestures.
No. It's something much more fundamental. It starts with self-mastery.
Self-mastery, okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting how all these sources seem to agree on that. The journey truly begins within.
Hmm.
There's this old Latin proverb.
Hmm.
It goes something like, "It is absurd that a man should rule others who cannot rule himself."
Huh. So it's not just about being a boss or a leader.
Not in the traditional sense, no. It's about mastering your own impulses, your emotions, your reactions first.
Okay.
And when we're talking about heroic character, that kind of self-governance,
Mhm.
well, it's not just nice to have. It's like
Yeah.
the absolute
Have
bedrock.
foundation.
Exactly. Without that internal control, everything else you try to build,
Hmm.
it just crumbles when the pressure's on.
That makes a lot of sense. But why is it so foundational? Like, what happens psychologically, maybe, when we don't manage that, when we fail at self-mastery in those small moments?
Well, if we don't master ourselves, we end up being constantly reactive,
Yeah.
right? Every little frustration. Someone cuts you off in traffic or, a colleague takes credit for your work.
Yeah. Or a rival gets ahead.
Right. All those things become these like unwitting tests. And if we react from that first instinct, anger, jealousy, defensiveness,
We lose control.
yeah, you basically hand over control of your internal state. And that stops you from choosing a better path, seeing the bigger picture.
So instead of building resilience,
You just reinforce those reactive habits.
Yeah.
Kind of erodes your inner peace. And ultimately, it limits your ability to act heroically when it really counts.
so these everyday annoyances are actually opportunities.
Exactly. Opportunities to choose who you want to be in that moment.
Okay, so let's say we're working on that internal landscape, that self-mastery. The real test, then, often comes from outside, right? From people who challenge us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next big hurdle the sources point to, dealing with difficult relationships.
And how do we do that heroically?
Well, this is maybe the ultimate spiritual challenge. Learning to love our adversaries, or at least deal with them constructively.
Love your adversaries. That sounds hard.
It is. Look at Tony Dungy, Super Bowl winning coach, man of deep faith.
Right.
He was incredibly honest about his rivalry with Rodney Harrison back in their NFL days. Intense competitors.
Okay.
And Dungy admitted, despite his faith telling him to pray for and bless those who persecute us, like it says in Matthew and Romans, he just
Yeah.
didn't. He didn't pray for Harrison during those competitive years. He said it only felt natural after they became colleagues.
Wow, that's really honest.
It is. And it
Yeah.
shows that internal resistance, that struggle we all face.
Mhm.
It reminds me a bit of that short book in the Bible, Obadiah, only
Oh.
21 verses.
Obadiah, right.
What?
Yeah. Obadiah basically gives this stern warning to the Edomites. They were Esau's descendants. He warns them not to celebrate when Jerusalem falls, when Jacob's people suffer.
Don't gloat over your enemy's failure.
Exactly. He tells them their own end is coming because of their pride, their desire for revenge, and specifically because they were relishing their enemy's suffering.
Oof, that's a heavy warning.
It is. It's a stark reminder that, defining ourselves just by who we're against, it actually diminishes us. It can lead to our own downfall.
It's so easy to gloat, though, isn't it? We've all felt that little flicker of satisfaction when someone who wronged us messes up.
Absolutely, it's human.
But these sources are pushing us then. They're asking us to look inside. Have you ever really found yourself relishing someone's misfortune, someone who's made things difficult for you?
Mm-hmm.
And if we have, I mean, how do we even begin to change that? That feels deeply ingrained.
This is where it gets maybe uncomfortable, but also really profound. The insight is about thinking seriously, about praying for a change in your heart towards that person.
Praying for my heart to change, not for them to change.
Well, maybe that too. But starting with you, it might even mean getting to a place where you could genuinely ask them, how can I pray for you?
Wow. Okay.
Or at the very least, consciously trying to soften your heart towards them, praying meaningfully for their well-being.
That sounds like a huge internal shift.
It is. But the point isn't really about letting them off the hook. It's about liberating yourself.
Liberating myself from bitterness.
Exactly. From the bitterness that can just eat you up inside. It frees you up to focus on your own growth, your own path.
Okay, that's powerful. But wait a minute. Does all this talk about love and softening your heart mean you just become a doormat?
Good question. No, not at all.
You just let people walk all over you in the name of being heroic?
Definitely not. The sources are clear on this. True love, real compassion, sometimes requires setting boundaries, and yes, sometimes even consequences.
Okay, so how does that work?
There's this great story about Milton Erickson, the psychotherapist, back when he was a medical professor.
Erickson, right?
He had this brilliant student, straight A's, named Anne. But she was chronically late. Every single class. Disrupted everything.
Annoying.
Totally. And she'd apologized, promised it wouldn't happen again, but, they always did. So one day, Anne walks in late again. And Erickson does something kind of remarkable. He has the entire class stand up.
A whole class.
A whole class. And they all bow to her in this sort of mock reverence. Erickson joins in too.
Oh, what was the message there?
The message was crystal clear. Without him yelling or anything, it was like saying, we see through the apologies. Your actions affect us.
How did Anne react?
She was apparently deeply embarrassed, ashamed. And guess what?
She stopped being late.
She stopped being late immediately. Now, Erickson's approach, it wasn't cruel, right?
No.
But it wasn't permissive either. It was perfectly calibrated, designed to help her see the impact of her actions without aggression.
That's a fascinating balance. Spiritual ideal meets practical wisdom.
Exactly. It forced her to confront her behavior.
Okay, so we've talked about self-mastery, dealing with adversaries, setting boundaries. What's next? This next point feels a bit counterintuitive, especially today.
Which one's that?
The idea that true strength shows up more through service than through, like, domination or just looking out for number one.
Ah, yes. The paradox of strength. It absolutely feels counterintuitive sometimes.
So explain that.
The core principle the sources highlight is basically help yourself by helping others.
How does that work?
Well, the idea is if you focus only on your own advancement, your own gain, paradoxically, it can actually diminish you, make you smaller in a way.
Interesting.
But when you invest in the well-being of others, even people who might have wronged you, going back to that earlier point, you tap into these incredible reserves of strength and purpose you didn't even know you had.
So it shifts your focus.
Completely. It shifts your focus outward, moves you beyond feeling sorry for yourself or holding on to resentment. And it's also about where you put your energy. Yeah, think about Jim Harbaugh's advice to his players. He'd say, play as hard as you can, play as fast as you can, play as long as you can, and don't worry.
Don't worry about the opposition.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It connects to this other piece of wisdom. Relate to your greatness and not your weakness.
Focus on your own game.
Exactly. The most powerful response, often, to opposition or negativity is just to become so laser-focused on your own growth, your own contribution, that the adversaries, they just become irrelevant.
Like your light just outshines their shadow.
That's a great way to put it. Your own light becomes too bright. And remember that other point the sources make, having nothing is not an excuse for doing nothing.
Even when you feel powerless, you can choose action.
You can always choose to act from your strengths, from a place of service or contribution, however small.
Okay, this next idea, finding inner calm amidst all this chaos, especially in difficult interactions, that feels like a superpower.
It really is. And the sources point to this idea of inner peace as being crucial. Well, there's this reflection. My still mind reflects only peace and holiness. Now, that sounds maybe a bit lofty.
Yeah, a little.
But the core idea is that cultivating mental stillness, that inner quiet, is a profound advantage. in a world that's constantly trying to provoke a reaction from us.
We're always being bombarded with him.
Constantly, prompted to react instantly. But think about that old parable, the beetle and the centipede.
I don't know that one.
The beetle asks the centipede which leg goes before which, with all its legs.
Okay.
And the centipede starts thinking about it, overthinking it, and ends up paralyzed, falling into a ditch.
Okay, I get it. Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. It's a warning against overanalyzing everything to the point where you can't move. Instead, the sources suggest that real spaciousness of mind.
Spaciousness of mind.
Yeah, like a quiet inner state. That's where wisdom often comes from. Not frantic thinking, not that immediate emotional response, but calm reflection.
So, practically speaking, what does this mean day to day?
It means when someone pushes your buttons, and they will already know your first immediate reaction, it's probably not your wisest one.
Right. Usually isn't.
The person who can actually pause, take a breath, maybe just observe their own reaction.
And then choose how to respond.
Yes. Choose their response from that place of inner peace, or at least calm. That person holds tremendous power.
Not power over others, though.
No, power over their own destiny, their own peace of mind. That's the real power.
That leads nicely into this idea of what really defines character, doesn't it?
It does, because character isn't just about the big moments. There's a quote, 2 things define you. Your patience when you have nothing.
Okay. Patience when you have nothing.
And your attitude when you have everything.
So it's about the extremes.
Kind of. It reveals your true nature, not just when things are going great, not on your peaks, but in the valleys. When you're losing, not winning.
And maybe when nobody's watching?
Crucially, yes. When no one is watching. That's often when your real character shows up, or doesn't. It's like a continuous revealing of who you are.
Which highlights that it's about consistency, right? Not about being perfect all the time.
Absolutely. It's not about flawlessness. It's about the daily practice.
And there's a really practical standard for that, isn't there? R.J. Miller's idea.
Oh, yeah, the television test. It's brilliant in its simplicity.
Remind us what it is.
Never do anything you wouldn't be willing to explain on television.
That's a high bar.
It is, but it's such an effective gut check, isn't it, for decision-making? It forces you to think about aligning your private actions with your public values.
Especially when dealing with those challenging people we've been talking about.
Exactly. Would you be okay explaining how you handled that difficult situation on TV? It makes you aim for the highest version of yourself in every choice, big or small.
So if we were to quickly recap this whole journey to extraordinary character.
Okay, so it starts inside, right? With that unwavering self-mastery.
Then moving outward to tackle the huge challenge of loving, or at least constructively engaging with, adversaries. While also knowing when and how to use wise boundaries, not being a doormat.
Right. Then finding that surprising strength that comes from serving others, not just focusing on yourself.
Yep. And cultivating that inner stillness, that superpower of calm in the chaos.
And finally, just making character an everyday thing, a daily practice.
That's the essence of it.
Gerard Way said, "Heroes are ordinary people who make themselves extraordinary."
I like that. Make themselves extraordinary. It's a choice.
It really is. And this transformation, it's not some big single event, is it?
No, it's repeated choices made in all those small moments.
And maybe most powerfully, through those really difficult relationships.
Yeah, that friction.
Yeah.
That's where the character is really forged, isn't it?
Definitely. So maybe a final challenge for everyone listening before you go to bed tonight.
Okay.
Think about one person, just one person who's been genuinely difficult for you to be kind to recently.
Could be anyone.
Anyone.
Yeah.
A sibling who drives you nuts, someone at school or work who just isn't very nice.
Yeah, got someone in mind. Now, instead of replaying what they did wrong, just try to think of one good thing about them, or one good quality.
Just one.
Just one. And maybe, if you're up for it, silently wish something good happens for them tomorrow.
That might feel a bit strange at first.
It probably will. It might feel really weird. But that feeling, that's exactly how a heroic character gets built, how heroes train their hearts.
By choosing compassion even when it's hard, exercising the kindness muscle.
Exactly. Exercising that kindness muscle. And who knows, you might actually be surprised by how good it makes you feel in the end.
A small step on that extraordinary path.